This is day number 3 of another adventure of Joe and I. We're here in Algonquin Park in the Munising Ski and Mountain Bike Trail, and we're having a pretty good time. The first night we had encountered some problems. It got down to -35, so our standard trip report video is going to be a little abbreviated because a lot of gear started failing, mainly our cameras. They froze up, iced up. We tried to warm the batteries and they finally started working. So what I'm going to do is show you the clips that I do have, which is not a whole lot, and then I want to go through some of the gear that I used to tell you what worked well and what did not work so well. And there are quite a few things in the did not work so well category. So I hope you enjoy the little video that I do have. We've arrived at Algonquin Park. We're on the Munising Trail. It's a mountain bike trail and a ski trail. And it's about -5, 8-ish, somewhere in there. We have our 2 Go-Light tents set up. And Fahrenheit, yeah, not that crazy Canadian system. And it's getting kind of cold, so we got to chop some firewood now. It's good times. It's 5 o'clock. We got the wood prep for the night. Just kind of made a giant wall here, and we're going to rest our back on this down log, and then put the fire out front. Didn't really have time to make a fire reflector, put a tarp up or anything like that. It's just not enough time. It's too cold. So it's Wednesday morning at day 2. It got really freaking cold last night. It got down to -35 Fahrenheit. It's currently right now -34. Apparently rum freezes somewhere around there because we have a rum slushy. It's completely frozen. So good times, trying to warm up. Head's too cold. It's day number 3 and it's 1 o'clock. We did about 5 clicks today and we've arrived here at this excellent cabin. It's pretty good size inside, and there's a gigantic wood stove. So I'm really looking forward to firing that thing up and getting her going. My previous experience, previous to this trip, was I've done overnighters in the winter, maybe 2 nights tops, but never setting up, tearing down, and moving at night. So I kind of went based upon some of the gear I'd used in the past, and I'll tell you what kind of worked on this trip and what didn't. One thing I've really been liking and using is this Grand First Brooks Wildlife Hatchet. I've been using it. Joe had a full-size axe, so we used this for splitting kindling and tent pegs, things like that. Like, it's a little easier to use than a full-size axe for like small tasks like that. So that works pretty good. The next piece of gear that worked great was this plastic shovel. I got it for like $10 at a hardware store, and it collapses down. It worked great. We were able to dig down into the snow, and what that helps with is if you have a long fire, the long fire burns down in the snow, and then you can't get any heat. So if you dig down in the snow, you're out of the wind, and the fire reflects right up to you. What I use as my main piece of layering is the tops and the bottoms is the Gen 3 Equex Extreme Cold Weather System. It's a soft shell material, it's unlined. The great thing I love about it is the jacket and the pants are pretty baggy. So a lot of stuff like, I don't know, Arc'teryx, Mountain Hardware, things like that, they're real tight fitting. They're meant to like work better on a mountain, but you can't layer on them as well, I don't think. This works great. It dried out, it's wind resistant, it kept me good, and I just layered multiple stuff under it, so it worked great. At night or on a break, the final system of this is actually, I guess it's off eBay, it was used, but it's Wild Things. It's called their USMC Happy Suit. Basically the same thing as the Gen 3 Equex system, but I'd use this at night. The thing I love about it, and I'll never buy like an outer shell that doesn't have this, is it's got these gigantic pockets here, so I can put like my water bottle or my gloves or whatever I need to, and it dries out. So that worked great. The final thing that I was really hoping worked is it got down to -37 on the first day, which is far beyond anything I've ever camped in, like maybe 0 once before. So I did a lot of research, and this is the bag I ended up using. This is a down bag. It's from Feathered Friends. This is their Ptarmigan model. It's -25 Fahrenheit, but it is extremely expensive. But if you want to stay warm and you don't want something frostbitten, something like this is very good. I had no problems. The zipper functioned fine. The neck baffle and the head worked fine. And I didn't even have the headpiece on when it was negative like 37 out. I had a down hoodie on, just regular long johns. I was still perfectly fine. So if I put down pants, down jacket on, I guarantee I could push that a lot farther than what we did. So woke up maybe once or twice during the night just to pee and roll over, but works great. So here's two pieces of gear that did not work so well. I'm not a real highly experienced winter camper or snowshoer, so some of the stuff I bought for this trip, I didn't quite know what I was dealing with. These are MSR Ascent snowshoes. They're like one of their top-of-the-line models. They're 25-inch snowshoes, which were rated from 180 up to like 210 pounds. And I'm about 190, put clothes on maybe close to 200. And I'll tell you what, no, not even close for flotation. Joe's 140 pounds, has 30-inch snowshoes, and was able to just float across the snow. I was dying in these, absolutely dying. So I got to get a different snowshoe or a much bigger version of these. The binding system on these two was, I'm not 100% sold. It's too fidgety. There's 3 different buckles, plus you got the rear one. It'd be nice if you could get the rear one to like lock. It wants to come undone. You can't get it tight. So not super sold on the snowshoes. I'm going to definitely shop around for something different. The other thing which failed me was the stove. I'd really planned on wanting to do hot lunches, and it takes way too long to try to make a fire for lunch. So I thought the stove would be great in the morning. You could fire it up, melt water, and get it going. This is the Primus OmniLite TI. It's got a canister, it's a remote white gas stove, and I know they use these things on top of mountains. I can't get this thing to work. If I keep my coat for 40 minutes, it half worked, but it really didn't seem that powerful. I was kind of just really disappointed in that. I don't know if I got snow in a valve and it froze or what happened, but it's not working. That could be operator error. But in my opinion, if you're going to buy something that expensive, it should just work like a Swiss watch. It should just work, end of story, no fiddliness. So I'm a little upset about that one. But that's 2 major pieces of gear that did not work well at all on this trip. So previous to this trip, I had very little experience camping with a sled, only about 1 overnighter. So a lot to learn, and I think it went pretty good with the system I had. I used a pull system from a website called skipolk.com. They're fiberglass pulls. They worked pretty well. Kept it good and didn't run into me on the way downhill, which was nice. And I also made this belt. I did it with 3 strips of molly webbing, and that way I can adjust it a little bit forward or backwards. So that was nice. That worked quite well. As far as the sled itself, I got it from Nards. I think it's called the Imco Beast sled. Don't quote me on that. I modified it a little bit. I used 2 aluminum rudders in the rear just to keep the back end from sliding if you're on a slope. Seemed to work quite well, and I don't think they're small enough that they cause much drag. I also modified it with these 1-inch Fastech buckled straps. So what you're able to do is if you got like your sled or you got your shovel or tripod or anything like that, you just put it right under, and then you're able to snap it and pull it down. There's pulls from each side, so it works real nice. On the sled itself for organization, I used my Mystery Ranch Snapdragon. I used it for all the stuff I need to get to fast, like snacks, an extra layer of clothing, water, things like that. I'd keep in there. Things I'm looking at a lot. Map. It's nice because it has a main zipper. You're able to get right into it, and it's also got some more buckles on it, so I'm able to strap stuff to the pack, which I did with my water bottle holder and my tripod. Up front here, under the tarp, which is 8x10, like Etowah tarp, which we can use as a shelter, as wind, kind of windbreak. Use that to protect all my gear, which was sleep stuff, big food bag, stuff I'm not going to get to very often. On the last day here, I kind of figured out the weight distribution. The first couple of days I had the Mystery Ranch pack up front. The problem is it had all my heavy stuff, like water, fuel, camera, stove, and it was weighing the front end down a little too much. I think it was causing like a snowplow effect. So I put the heavy stuff in the rear today, lighter stuff up front, and I think it balances a little bit better. The one negative I would say about this whole system, and Joe was able to absolutely just smoke me from a time perspective, is getting over down trees. This I have to kind of lug and pull, and I can't lift up necessarily on the front end. So whereas him with just a rope, he's able to get over down trees a lot easier than I was. So one negative to the pull system. But the other thing too, off-road, I can't take turns real fast. So on trail, I think on a lake, something like that, pulls all the way. If you're trying to go around things, off-road, get a rope. So this is our final day here in Algonquin Park. We woke up in the cabin this morning. It's really nice. The stove stayed lit until about 5 o'clock in the morning, and Joe got up, stoked it around, and right now just having some oatmeal. This cabin was awesome. Had these pegs, we could hang everything up. We got everything dried out. Everything definitely had some moisture buildup after a couple of days, so it was nice to be warm and dry. Menacing?
Menacing.
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 Okay. Woo, got it. What's today? Tuesday? What's it? Menacing? Menacing?
Menacing.
Menacing. Menacing. The menacing truck. Boot.
Boot.
Not about a boot.
Oh, dude.
Oh, my head is so cold. I'm so cold. I'm so cold.
What day is it?